Now, I'm pretty sure you've heard of long drawn-out wars like World War II or the Vietnam War. But what if I told you there's a war that lasted less than an episode of your favorite TV show? Yeah, we're talking about a war that was over in just 38 minutes. You blink and it's done. Stick around, I think you might like this one. Alright, so let's set the scene. It's 1896 on the island of Zanzibar, just off the east coast of Africa. Now, Zanzibar wasn't just a random island. It was a major trading hub, especially for spices. And it had been a British protectorate for a few years. The British were all about maintaining their influence in the region because, well, empire stuff, right? Then things take a sharp turn. The Sultan of Zanzibar, Hamad bin Thuwaini, sorry for the mispronunciation, who was tight with the British, suddenly dies. No one really knows how he died, but some suspect it wasn't exactly natural causes. Anyway, his cousin, Khalid bin Bargash, swoops in and takes the throne. Now here's the catch. He didn't exactly ask the British for approval. And yeah, as most of you can guess, that probably didn't sit well with the empire. Now, at this point, the British were like, hold up, who said you can be the Sultan? They sent an ultimatum to Khalid, basically telling him, step down or face the consequences. But Khalid, being obviously a little too confident, fortified himself in the royal palace with around 3,000 men, thinking that he could actually take on the British Empire. Well, alert, he couldn't. Not even close. So on August 27, 1896, at exactly 9:02 a.m., the British opened fire on the palace. Now, you'd think this would be a back and forth situation, but no, this was a straight up beatdown. The British had warships with heavy artillery, and Khalid's forces, they were working with muskets and a few cannons here or there, and even those weren't all functional. It's like bringing a water gun to a real fight. In just 38 minutes, the place was in ruins. Khalid's men were either killed, wounded, or they just straight up fled. And Khalid himself, dude, just bounced. He ran to the German consulate where he was granted asylum. Meanwhile, the British casually just strolled in and declared victories. And by 9:40 a.m., it was all over. Literally the shortest recorded war in history. Pretty wild stuff, right? Now, just remember, if you're into these crazy but true stories from history, hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and don't forget to hit the bell so you won't miss any new videos. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss the next one. Okay, so Khalid's out, and the British, being the British Empire, installed a new sultan, one who was more than happy to follow their orders. Now, the funny thing is, even though the war was insanely short, the long-term effects of the British control in Zanzibar weren't. The British kept Zanzibar as part of their empire, which would later play a big role in the East African slave trade, and it remained a British colony until 1963. So why does a 38-minute war matter? Well, it's more than just a historical footnote. It's a perfect example of how colonialism worked, using overwhelming military forces to get their way, often at the expense of local leaders and population. This tiny war represented a much bigger issue: European powers controlling vast parts of Africa without much resistance. And that control had serious long-term consequences. Now, Zanzibar eventually gained independence in 1963, but the legacy of British control still left its mark on the island. And even though the war was short, it shows how empires operated: quick, efficient, and devastating. It's kind of ironic that a war so short could have such long-lasting effects, right? So yeah, the shortest war in history wasn't just some weird historical quirk. It was a window into the brutal efficiency of colonialism. What do you think? Should we remember this as just an interesting fact, or is there more to it? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and hey, don't forget to subscribe to, I'm pretty sure, for more of these wild historical stories. See you in the next one. Stay curious.